Before the Indian Army can think about leaving Bangladesh, 93,000 Pakistani prisoners of war will have to be transported to India.
We will fight. We'll go back and fight. My country hearkens for me. Why should I waste my time here in the Security Council? I'm going.
मिस्टर भुट्टो की हुकूमत ख़त्म हो चुकी है। सारे मुल्क में माशाअल्लाह नाफिज कर दिया गया है। टोपी है, टोपी।
The movement we've witnessed in Bangladesh over the past month is being called the first revolution led by Gen Z.
After weeks of protests, more than 300 people have been killed.
A fury has swept over Nepal. The country's parliament ablaze earlier this week as thousands of protesters stormed it, setting it and other government buildings on fire. Nepal's youth-led protests echo two other recent uprisings in South Asia. In neighbouring Bangladesh, unrest toppling the government last year. And in Sri Lanka in 2022. In both countries, discontent with ruling political dynasties and economic inequality boiling over.
Down.
Gunmen on the streets of Lahore, a brazen and deadly attack on a high-profile target. Police say 12 heavily armed attackers unleashed an array of sophisticated weaponry on the Sri Lankan cricketer's team bus and its police escort.
I'll pick up from where I left day before yesterday. PAF versus IF, 6-0.
आतंक पर भारत की कार्रवाई का साथ देने के बजाय पाकिस्तान ने भारत पर ही हमला करना शुरू कर दिया।
This is a story of two South Asias, the one the world knows, a geopolitical fault line where history never ends and borders never fully opened, and the one where the numbers screams to be, a region of nearly 2 billion people on the cusp of becoming the world's next great economic supernova. But a single staggering statistic holds it all back. Intra-regional trade is just 5%. In Europe, it's over 60%. In East Asia, more than 50%. South Asia trades more with continents an ocean away than with its own neighbors. This isn't an accident, it's a choice, and that choice has a cost, measured in trillions of lost wealth, millions of jobs never created, and influence surrendered by default. But what if the key isn't the grand political peace, but a colder, quieter, more realistic bargain? A doctrine of cold peace and hot trade. Welcome to the Pulse Report. Consider the absurdity. India and Pakistan, geographically inseparable, economically complementary, conduct less formal trade with each other than many mid-sized European nations do in a month. Bangladeshi garments reach Europe faster than they reach Punjab. Pakistani cement detours through the Gulf ports. Indian pharmaceuticals arrive in Sri Lanka quicker than in Lahore. Why? Not just tariffs, a thicket of non-tariff barriers. Sensitive lists that quietly ban thousands of goods. Custom delays measured in days, not in hours. Standards that don't recognize each other. And above all, political mistrust weaponized into policy. The South Asian Free Trade Area, or SAFTA, has been called one of the least effective regional trade agreements in the world by the World Bank. And what is the result? A region that grows despite itself, but the blueprint for a different path already exists. Now imagine a framework that doesn't chase reconciliation but pursues returns on investment. Call it the Dhaka Compact. Not a union, not a peace process, but a purely economic ceasefire. Phase 1. The digital border. A single electronic cargo manifest, mutual recognition of standards, clearance cut from days to hours. A reform long championed by the Asian Development Bank. Physical from Colombo to Chennai, Dhaka, Kolkata to Lahore. An integrated energy grid harnessing Himalayan hydropower for all, building on live projects like the India-Sri Lanka power link. Phase 3. Borderland growth zones. Jointly managed special economic zones at flashpoints, turning checkpoints into the logistic hubs, suspicion into shared equity. The payoff here is conservative United Nations estimates suggest that this could add 2 to 3% to annual GDP growth across the South Asia, and that is not a hope, that is the arithmetic. History shows us how this works. Europe didn't start it with unity, it started with coal and steel. ASEAN didn't resolve dispute, it just parked them. The Dhaka Compact follows the same ruthless logic. A neutral technical secretariat hosted outside the traditional powers' capitals. An annual trade truce, a binding pledge of no new barriers. Private sector-led joint ventures in neutral markets and the central bank swap lines to bypass dollar dependency. No flags, no history lesson, just incentives aligned so tightly that conflict become irrational. This is about more than trade figures. Two futures are now on the table. One path leads to strategic irrelevance, fragmented markets, perpetual external dependence, leverage ceded to Beijing, Washington, and the Gulf by default. The other unlocks a South Asian bloc, a unified force capable of negotiating climate, finance, digital standards, and global trade rules from a position of strength. The obstacles are real. Asymmetric size, deep distrust, and domestic spoilers. But in a world hardening into a competing blocs, the greatest risk is no longer a conflict, it's the inertia. The Dhaka's Gambit isn't about friendship, it's about leverage, don't get me wrong here. A bet that supply chains can become the strongest chains of all, chains of mutual interest, that jobs will move faster than diplomats, that shared profit can build what shared history could not. The question facing South Asia's leader is no longer whether peace is possible. It's whether they can afford the staggering cost of status quo. Can South Asia afford its past? What do you think? Is cold peace, hot trades a pragmatic doctrine or a perilous gamble? Debate it now. Subscribe to Pulse Report for more deep dives into forces shaping our world, because understanding tomorrow starts today.